My name is Justin Hall, and I'm the chair of the MFA in Comics program at California College of the Arts, and I'm a cartoonist as well. I've been making comics for over 20 years now, making queer comics with a lot of queer and trans representation and themes and characters for that time. And I've done also some comics dealing with public service and public health, so that's part of the reason I'm here. I put together the book No Straight Lines, which I actually have here because we're going to go through a new printing of it. I think it's the fourth printing, maybe. This is a compendium of LGBTQ plus comics from the late 60s with sort of early attempts at this kind of material all the way through when the book was published in 2012, 2013. I look over everything from the sort of gay gag strips that appeared in the early queer publications like The Advocate that come out of around the Stonewall movement, and all the way through to the underground comics movement that was really centered here in San Francisco, and then through the alternative comics movement, and finally into even more mainstream comics. It's a really remarkable story of growth for these creators and also for these sorts of themes and characters. I've been a lifelong comic book nerd, and so that's a big part of my identity. Being able to use, I've always been obsessed with comics as a medium of self-expression, and also as a way to get at different kinds of other topics. But to be able to use it as a way to do good work in the world and to do things around something like public health is, I think, really important. Comics as a medium has a unique accessibility to it. It's not always accessible. There's comics that are made that are quite dense and complicated and can be very challenging and all that, just like literature, right, or film. But when comics are made to be accessible, they can be quite engaging in that way, and so present a unique set of tools for public health educators, and also just sort of the joy behind making comics and how people can use that in their practice as a means of self-expression. So I've sort of trying to talk about the gospel of comics and deliver my personal obsessions. In fact, everybody else with my personal obsession. Certainly, that they can look to comics as a way to disseminate information around public health. I think it's a really useful tool to do that. The combination of text and imagery is really helpful for getting information out to different kinds of populations, right? That might be dealing with literacy concerns or various sort of challenges of taking in the information. Comics can be extremely good at this. So that's one thing. And then also it's a way to get at, you can get at issues of identity, in particular around queer and trans identities, in ways that are quite unique. So by being able to draw someone, you can avoid certain or make more complex in some ways the issues around naming and identity markers, right? And you can do everything from skill sets around creating characters as funny animal characters, right? You sort of avoid certain types of representation, direct representation, or you can lean into that stuff with other kinds of drawings. So I want people to understand that there's this whole sort of gamut of tools that are involved with comics as a medium that could be really helpful for them in their own practices. I'm excited to see what everybody else is doing here, right? You've got a great lineup of people here coming from all different perspectives. I'm excited to see them all kind of talking about different both identities and how those identities are portrayed in the world. You've done a wonderful job in creating a really diverse group of folks to present. So I'm just excited to see what people have to say, and also to interact with the questions. And I love sort of Q&A in terms of my own work, when people can come to any presentation that I do and ask me questions that are specific to what they need to get out of something, what they want to expand upon, and have that dialogue, right? That's a really, really important thing. It's a lot more engaging to have dialogue than just simply sort of, lecture out at a group of people and have no interaction. So that's a huge part of this. And, it's leaning into the silver lining for all of our virtual realities right now, right? Where we can actually engage in these platforms and with large groups of people that might be geographically distant from each other, but we can really form community that way. So I'm excited that this conference is doing that.